All right. Let's take a look at some of these guys that have been traded over the last 4 years. Okay, I'm going to start with Odell Beckham in 2019. Odell Beckham netted you a first and a third round pick for the New York Giants. At the time of that trade, Odell Beckham had the highest salary average per year in the entire NFL. At the time of that trade, Odell Beckham tore his ACL the year before. He missed 16 games in a 2-year span. We know he was a huge diva. And he had a fight with a kicking net. But they got a first and a third round pick. And they also shed another big contract in Olivier Vernon. You say, well, Odell Beckham's a one-off. Okay. Julio Jones was traded for a second and a fourth round pick. At the time of the trade, he was second in average per year in regards to his salary. Julio Jones missed 7 games a year prior to his trade, and we all know Julio Jones was hurt guy. In the last 3 seasons, Amari Cooper has more catches, more yards, and more touchdowns than Julio Jones. And an offense that does not feature Amari Cooper like it featured Julio Jones. But they got a second and a fourth round pick. All right. You might say, well, those are the top 2, 3, whatever. Okay. Stefan Diggs. Now, before you start rattling off Stefan Diggs' numbers in Buffalo, go look at his numbers in Minnesota. He didn't get 1,000 yards until his 4th year in the league. He also was an issue in that locker room at the end of his tenure in Minnesota. He signed a 5-year, $72 million deal and was almost said something else. He was traded for a first, a fourth, a fifth, and a 6th round pick. And then one Antonio freaking Brown. I mean, do I need to say any more about Antonio Brown? Maybe the ultimate wild card, the ultimate risk, number 2 in APY at the time of the trade, and he still netted you a 3rd and a 5th round pick. So when fans try to tell you, when writers try to tell you, you can't move a wide receiver with big money and baggage, I present to you wide receivers with big money and baggage. Well, Sky, those are top 10 guys. And so is Amar. Those are top 10 guys. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at some guys who weren't top 10 guys over the last 4 years that got traded for better compensation than Amari Cooper. Brandon Cooks, one of my favorite wide receivers in the league. For whatever reason, this man continues to get bounced around. He was traded 3 separate times. A first and a third. A first and a 6th. And a 2nd round pick. The last 2 were after he got traded and he was top 10 in APY. Mohamed freaking Sanu. No, Mohamed Sanu got traded for a 2nd round pick. Okay? Do I need to say more? Emmanuel Sanders went from the Broncos, a 30-year-old plus wide receiver who's been a mid guy to the Niners, got traded for a 3rd and 4th round pick. Martavis freaking Bryant traded for a 3rd round pick from the Steelers to the Raiders. But because we've been classically trained to think a 5th rounder is okay, it's all we could get, it's okay. It's not okay. The problem is not trading Amari Cooper, right? We came to grips with that. The problem is the compensation. The problem is people don't respect Stephen Jones in that arena. I just showed you 8 different instances where wide receivers either A on the tier, a little bit above the tier, or way below the tier got much better compensation than a 5th round pick. Now, Are the Cowboys going to be okay in regards to having CD Lamb and having Michael Gallup potentially drafting the guy? Sure. We'll talk about all that stuff. But remember, I didn't get a chance to say my piece. So this is my piece on the situation. Bottom line, yes, your Cowboys got in the trade department again. Because they don't know how to operate there. Because they don't have a true general manager to do those things. Let me ask y'all a question. Do you think Les Snead would have got a 5th round pick for Amari Cooper? I digress.